Ran right into the side of the saloon. Well, if Jeffro can't do it, neither should you. Don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Hello, I'm Matt Bennett with WWAY News. American flags have been placed on graves in the Wilmington National Cemetery on Market Street ahead of Memorial Day. More than 5,000 flags are flying on graves at the cemetery. Many people across the Cape Fear and the country plan to observe Memorial Day by visiting graves of members of armed forces who died while serving. A Memorial Day ceremony will be held at 11 a.m. in the cemetery today, hosted by the New Hanover County Veterans Council. A man was retrieved from the ocean on Saturday afternoon near Southwest 23rd Street in Oak Island. Around 2 p.m., several agencies, including Water Rescue, Fire, and EMS, responded to a 911 call reporting a person seen struggling in the water. Oak Island Water Rescue Chief Peter Grenzi says bystanders were performing CPR on the male victim when they arrived. That man died on the scene. Authorities say he was from West Virginia and was visiting the area. At this time, his official cause of death has not been released. There is an autopsy underway. Hundreds of people attended the 26th annual Orange Street Arts Fest on Saturday as the two-day event came to a close. This is the first time since 2019 that the Orange Street Arts Fest was held on Memorial Day weekend due to the pandemic. The street fair was held on Orange Street between Front and 2nd Streets, Orange to Dock Streets, and inside the Hannah Block Historic USO Community Arts Center. It is one of the largest arts festivals in downtown Wilmington. It featured more than 80 artists' paintings, pottery, jewelry, and metal arts. And a concert raising money for those displaced by an ongoing mold crisis with the Wilmington Housing Authority was hosted by the Northside Food Co-op on Saturday at Pallet Bottle Shop and Garden. The Bring the House Up Relief Concert featured 6 different bands with all donations going to the New Hanover Disaster Coalition. In addition to the concert, the Pallet Bottle Shop and Garden has also been raising funds all month for the cause by giving 10% of their monthly proceeds. For more on these stories, you can head to WWAYTV3.com. I'm Matt Bennett. Have a great day.
Happy Monday, everybody. I'm WWAY meteorologist Ramel Carpenter with your Storm Track 3 forecast. Get ready for a fairly nice Memorial Day here in the Cape Fear. Certainly going to be hot and a bit on the humid side as our high temperatures climb into the low 90s away from the coast. Low to middle 80s will do it along the immediate coastline with a low-end risk for rip currents. Excellent beach weather on this Monday. Heading into the overnight hours tonight, we are expecting mostly clear skies. Temperatures will be mild in the middle and upper 60s, and it certainly will be a touch on the muggy side as well. Get your full forecast on WWAY and WWAYTV3.com.
This news and weather is brought to you by 2 Men and a Truck. For your free quote, go to 2menandatruck.com. 2menandatruck.com.
Hey everyone, Ben Hawkins here with Cross Country Mortgage. Rates are still at historic lows, and there has never been a better time to purchase your dream home or refinance your existing. With over 300 loan products including conventional, FHA, VA, USDA, renovation, and jumbo, we are certain we have the right loan product for you and your family. Call me today to be pre-qualified to make the offer on your next dream home. 910-352-3373 or visit my website at lendwithben.com.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the lingo.
Jelly. Jelly adjective. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same. Visit adoptuskids.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Enjoying Big Talker Network is as easy as asking for it. Program your digital home assistants such as Google Home, Alexa, and Siri to stream Big Talker Network content by simple voice command. Enjoy convenient hands-free access to program whenever you want, however you want by asking for Big Talker.
Hey, welcome back to the Asylum Memorial Day Monday. Right here on the Big Talker Network. This is your refuge in a world gone mad. Please visit the Big Talker website at bigtalker.live. Download the app for the Android and iOS devices and ensure that you have a fantastic day. If you're up this morning, chances are it's because your internal clock has been programmed and you just can't escape it. Just like me. Yep, even my phone asked me, hey, it's Memorial Day. Do you want me to set an alarm? I said, nah. 6 o'clock rolled. I woke up, looked at my phone. The phone said, hey, do you want me to set an alarm? Nah. I'm good. So if you're up at this bright-eyed time of the morning on a Memorial Day, I feel for you. And to reward you, I'm going to, relate a few monkey stories to you because being the hairless monkeys that we are, our nearest cousin in the, what is that, the species, the nearest species to us. Well, Effington, right? Effingham, effing Georgia is where we are for this story. Effingham, Georgia. Effingham County, Georgia. Effing County, Georgia. Warning members of the public to be on the lookout for two patus monkeys on the loose in the area. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. There's 8 billion monkeys on this planet known as humans, and these two are the ones we're going to worry about. All right, then. May 25th, authorities in Georgia are warning members of the public to be on the lookout for two patus monkeys. Thank you there, computer. On the loose in a county near Savannah, Georgia. If you wanted to know where all those votes went, this would be a good place to start, I think. You want to find some votes? Follow the patus monkeys. Oh, well, okay. Hey. There we go. Maybe that'll work. Effingham Sheriff said deputies recently received a call reporting two monkeys on the loose with a handful of ballots with the word Trump on it. It sounded like a scene from Jumanji, but it was not. There are, in fact, two patus monkeys on the loose in North Effingham. That kills me, man. Effing Georgia, right? Okay, Effingham, Georgia. The sheriff said in a Facebook post, the monkeys are legally owned by an Effingham resident, the sheriff's office said. The Georgia Department of Natural Resources was contacted to help capture the loose primates. We ask that you do not try to catch them. Although they are not believed to be dangerous, they are wild animals and we cannot predict how they will respond if cornered, the sheriff's office said. Remarkably, that's it for the story. So UPI is like, I don't know. Maybe they're billing us by the word. I don't know. But that's it for the whole story of the monkeys on the loose in Georgia. I really feel they did a disservice by not connecting that to, well, is this guy Florida too? Tell me this guy's Florida. Oh. This is San Diego, California. All right, but it has Carolina in it. All right, so and this is another UPI story, by the way, and it's going to come in with only half the story. Just warning you now. Man eats 3 Carolina Reaper chilies in 8.72 seconds for a world record. Wait for it. A California man put his love of spicy food to the limit when he broke a Guinness World Record by downing 3 Carolina chili peppers in 8.72 seconds. Gregory Foster, a man probably not terribly concerned for his own health, took on the record for the fastest time to eat Sorry. All right, stand by. All right, maybe we're working. Oh, Monday. Come on now. Hey. There we go. Got something working? I mean, my friend Andrew up in Virginia has had lost power, internet, and everything else. He's got power back, but he doesn't have a mixing board that's throwing a fit. I think it's time to get recapped. All right, let's start over with the California man who put his love of spicy food to the limit. Oh, when he broke a Guinness World Record by downing 3 Carolina Reaper chili peppers in 8.72 seconds. Gregory Foster took on the record for fastest time to eat 3 Carolina Reaper chilies at the Seaport Shopping Center in downtown San Diego, and ended up eating 6 of the super hot peppers when his first attempt was disqualified. Foster's second attempt ended in 8.72 seconds, successfully taking the record from Canadian pepper popper fan Mike Jack, who ate 3 Carolina Reapers in 9.72 seconds. The Scoville unit, little bit here, the Carolina Reaper has an average of 1.64 million Scoville heat units, compared to 2,500 to 8,000 Scoville heat units for the average jalapeno. In practicing for an attempt like this, it is more about mechanics and muscle memory, so I time myself eating small sweet peppers to get the chewing and swallowing down to automatic responses, Foster told Guinness World Records. Boom, that's where the story stops. Now, if any of you like a spicy chunk of stuff on your dinner plate, you know the story doesn't end there. He may have got the 6, right? Because he had to do 3 and then 3 more. He may have got them into his body. But what it does to your body from there, that's why they ended the story early, would be my guess. And he must be a younger man, somewhere in your mid-late 40s, 50s, somewhere in there. The spicy food tends to last a lot longer. But some cultures, like, the one I grew up in New Mexico, was not uncommon to have strings of dried chili hanging from the window or over the sink in the kitchen. So anytime you made a food, a dinner, a meal that had a tomato-based, like spaghetti or lasagna or chili itself, you could literally pull a dried chili right off the ristra, crush it right into your food. It was awesome. Yeah, we grew up on chili, right? Everything had chili in it. Water had chili in it, for Christ's sake. And it was wonderful until I turned 50. So now it's like, ooh, I love the taste of that stuff, but it don't like me. No. Not at all. One of the cats that I've been downloading stuff from has been talking about how a shortage of everything is it's a shortage of everything. The temperature is getting hotter. We're turning into what's called the summer, and according to the New York Post, lifeguard shortage could shutter a third of U.S. public pools this summer. Chris Oberholtz of Fox Weather. I don't know how he made it into this thing, but okay, I'll let it go. No shirt, no shoes, no lifeguards. This summer, families looking for an open-up community pool or guarded public beach might find it difficult due to a nationwide lifeguard shortage. According to the American Lifeguard Association, it could even prevent about a third of the 309,000 pools across the country from opening. It also, man, that spell checker missed. It also leaves fewer staffed lifeguard towers at recreational beaches. I guess that's it. LEAT, L-E-A-T. I don't know what that is. It also LEAT fewer, but I think they mean it also leaves fewer staffed. Anyway, ever since lifeguarding started, we've had difficulty filling the ranks because it's a tough job to obtain, said Wyatt Wernath. That's it. Okay, so enough with the bugs. It takes very rigorous physical training, first aid and trauma training, and a lot of tentative type skills such as watching the water. City officials in Overland Park, Kansas were forced to close 2 of their 5 outdoor pools amid the staffing shortages. Our staff worked incredibly hard throughout the winter and spring to hire, train, certify, onboard, and schedule more than 150 lifeguards to safely staff the outdoor pools. The shortage is due in part to the pandemic and the cancellation of J-1 exchange work visas. Not sure how that got into. We're going to get through this, Worth said. As first responders, lifeguards are very resourceful. Even in earlier times when we had a shortage in lifeguards, we found ways to educate and protect the public, which is our number one priority. Even got a sign here. Lifeguards on duty. This looks like Canada. I'm not sure. It's got a little maple leaf. Doesn't say who this beach belongs to. I'll know in a moment. Lifeguards on duty from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Memorial Day weekend to Sunday after Labor Day. Swimming or bathing prohibited at all other times. Empty lifeguard chair. Coney Island. There it is. They got a park security guy with his little radio and flip book for infractions, but he does not look like he's ready to go diving in the water. Aside from being super affordable, aside from being super affordable, Felicia, not the by Felicia, but Felicia Bergen, especially likes her pool in Grain Valley, Missouri, because it's a nearby place for her large family to take swim lessons. In towns with only one community pool, the staffed, city-funded resource is vital. Bergen's 11-year-old has been able to swim for a couple of years now. However, her 2 youngest cannot get over their fears of the water in general. A lifeguard shortage would definitely concern me enough to change some of my behaviors, she said. As a parent who can't swim at all, having a lifeguard near each part of the pool gives me a peace of mind that there is a nearby person who can help my child if they are in danger. Okay, foul. As a parent who can't swim at all, and you're going to the exact same pool to teach your kids how to swim, but you're not participating? Foul. Learn to swim. At least, even if you don't learn to swim, just learn how not to drown. That's the first step, right? And I'll harken back to the conversations we had previously with Dr. Cahoon, right? Another experienced water sport enthusiast. Don't panic. As a parent who can't swim at all, that's on you. Just learn how to not drown. Start there. Work your way towards swimming. In fact, I would bet the very pool that you're taking your kids to learn how to swim might even have classes that can teach an old fart like you how to swim. I remember visiting in North Carolina as a child, a young boy visiting from New Mexico. Hadn't seen a public pool. We don't have them. You just can't. You will get a ticket if you have a water puddle after a rainstorm in your front yard, okay? If you have grass that's more than like 8 feet by 8 feet, they will fine you. Water shortage in New Mexico is fierce, man. And the fines are exorbitant, just basically so that you're not like water. Have you ever driven down somebody's yard and they've been watering their lawn in the middle of the night for like 8 hours and the water is just running down the street? That don't happen in New Mexico. You would get shot if you were to do that. So if you haven't learned how to swim, and I was able to learn how to, I mean, when I came here, this is the part of the story that got me, is I'd already learned how to swim, right? It was just, I don't remember a time that I didn't know how to swim. That's how long it's been, and I think I understand why. When I got to North Carolina, I was, maybe 7, I think it was, the summer of my 6th or 7th year as a child, as a person, as an extant being. And at one end of the pool, these folks literally were just throwing their offspring into the bucket. Well, this big puddle, this big concrete, what Jethro called it, the cement pond? Yeah, just tossing their kids in there like watermelons or something. Like they were logging the kids. And I was like, man, that's just, I don't know if I'm okay with that. Because you're just throwing them. But it worked, right? Because, they see the kids and they see the parents and everybody's giggling and happy and they splash in the water and they go under for a second and they pop up and they realize that they can't breathe in. So don't do that. It makes you cough and sputter and your nose go weird and your eyes water and that sort of thing. So, yeah, maybe we should do that. We get the parents to the side of the pool and we just throw them in. It works for your kids. Why not for you? You'll throw your kid in there, but you're not going to do it. As a parent who can't swim at all, Felicia, I think you have a responsibility at this point. Drowning can happen in seconds and is often silent. It can happen to anyone, anytime. There is access to water everywhere. Every year in the U.S., there are an estimated 4,000 unintentional drownings, an average of 11 drownings per day, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention reports. However, I do not think drowning is a disease. So why the Center for Disease Control and Prevention would have data on this? I don't know. Anyway, I find that to be curious. If you are fortunate enough to have a summer outing to an open pool or staffed beach, Worth wants to remind everyone to continuously swim near a lifeguard, check nearby weather conditions, and learn to swim. How did the first people do it? Right? Like back when we were falling out of the trees and losing our hair and our tails and walking upright and completely jacking up our hips. How did we learn to swim then? Is it like, just random? I mean, there had to be the exploration of our world as a young species, as a nascent species, right? I mean, somebody at some point had to go and pull on the udder of a cow. What drove them to do that? I don't know. But hey, I see a calf suckling on that. I want to get in on that. So I'm going to crawl up under this, 1-ton animal and see if I can snag some of this milk. No. So we can do that, but we can't learn to swim. Felicia, I think you could do better than that. But yes, having lifeguard shortages could impact our area. I mean, imagine Carolina Beach just lined up with all those empty parking spots. $25 a day. Empty because there are no lifeguards. I wonder if that's an issue. Or if we just throw caution to the wind. Hey, the beach is open at your own risk. And I guess that's going to be a great tourism grab. I don't know. Another story that came to me from Lad Bible. I find this to be hilarious. Christian OnlyFans model says God wants her to keep making content until she's in her 70s. Yeah, you may want to hang for this one for a second. A Christian OnlyFans model claims God has told her to keep going until she's in her 70s, saying she wants to be a GILF. That's Grandma, I'd like to fundamentalize with. Nita Marie, currently 46, who has 985,000 followers on Instagram and earns $120,000 a month on OnlyFans, found her faith after having a dream about Jesus when she was 9 years old. I mean, you talk about hallucinations, man. I was hallucinating at that age. And that was just from, like, too much of the super sugar crisps. The influencer, who hails from Colorado, has previously hit headlines for arguing that, quote, Jesus would have loved sex workers, end quote. Having threesomes with her husband and the holy deity for saying that, and for saying that her X-rated profession is what God wanted her to do. But while she has been shamed by fellow worshipers for her saucy snaps, she said God is not only guiding her through her venture on OnlyFans, but also wants her to keep going for decades. I want to be a gilf and empower older women to look and feel good in their own body, she said. I also want to encourage them to have an active sex life. I know that God doesn't want me to retire. Apparently, this is her only... She has no skill, no marketing skill, no degree, nothing. We'll find out. I mean, we'll read through this and see if she has any education. But other than that, it's just basically Christian porn. God is guiding me through my OnlyFans career, and he said I should continue creating content until my 70s. You know, they have medicine for this. My husband doesn't want me to retire either. He likes the money too much. Well, duh. And it's the perfect job for you. There's no marketable skill involved, right? There's absolutely no contribution except to the, already dysfunctional sexual deviance that this country is already known for. The mom of two may be a devout follower of Christianity, but believes the Bible is misogynistic, given that it was written during a time when women were not allowed to read or write. Oh, boy, that was a leap, wasn't it? Because of this, she's on a divine mission to help women embrace their sexuality and prove that this is what God intended. Anita said, having OnlyFans is too much fun and I love my fans. No, this is just stripping for money. God has nothing to do with it. I asked God if he wanted me to continue stripping, and his answer was always yes. I see now that I am being guided to continue so I can help women and men have healthy relationships with sex in their bodies regardless of age. To me, sexuality is a huge part of my faith. It's a gift that God gave us to experience with other people where both parties are consensual. When we experience an orgasm with somebody else, we share a small part of how God feels about us. Anita previously told how... Boy, y'all need to work on your English. Anita previously told how has the best sex she's ever had when she hops into bed with her husband and the Heavenly Father twice a week. How has the best sex? Told how... Maybe they... Yeah. Nita previously told how the best sex she's ever had when she hops into bed with her husband and the Heavenly Father twice a week. I guess. I don't know. This English is pretty sad for a... Alright, she also recently shared her top tips on how to make a woman climax, which involves focusing on the task at hand, being gentle, and taking your time. Everyone should try inviting God into their lovemaking at least once. You'll be opening yourself up to experiencing heaven, Nita explained. Just strippers. Strippers, that's all it is. Oh, wait, is this the same one? Yeah. It's just like 3 different people writing the same article. Oh, wait. What's this one? Oh! I'm sorry. So the first 2 stories followed the same person, which was pretty weak. and more about mental health than anything. But OnlyFans model turned politician promises free breast enlargements if she's elected. That'll work. An OnlyFans model who is running for office in Mexico is promising something a little left of center, and we're not talking about the political spectrum. I'm not going to pronounce it. Ms. Pino is gunning for Mexico's Chamber of Deputies, and she's promised to give women a breast augmentation for free. Ms. Pino, who also goes by the name La Grosera, which means the rude one in Spanish, has been slogging out a bunch of catchy campaign slogans like, give your mom, give your mom tats, but we're going to spell it with an I. With me, your vote counts for 2, and because a woman with tats is an empowered woman. Again, replacing the A. That's a little weird. She's also posted photos of her topless. She's also posted pictures of herself topless and pregnant to show her solidarity to working moms around the country. Ms. Pino is running with the Progressive Social Networks Party, which only launched last year. She has her eyes set on becoming federal deputy for the state of Sonora when Mexicans head to polling stations this weekend. She's been openly critical about the current administration and wants to usher in a new era for people all across her country. The political hopeful wrote on Twitter, the country needs deputies who do not have a particular interest, or who do not have particular interests. You're creating that interest, sweetheart. Much less the president. Okay, the country needs deputies who do not have particular interests, much less the president. Always put the benefit of Mexicans before any particular interest. Vote for me to achieve that balance and independence of the executive and legislative power. In another tweet, the 33-year-old said, what we least need right now are more traditional, corrupt, and male chauvinist politicians. So you're going to degrade yourself to get there? Okay. But when she asked about her campaign pledge for free breast jobs, she didn't shy away from the promise. She told the Daily Star, my election promise is to guarantee free breast augmentation for all women, with women who have undergone mastectomy given priority. That I'll get behind. Ms. Pino has also pledged to include trans women in that promise and help them achieve top surgery without having to fork out for it themselves. She added to F.A., women have not been asked what we want. Nobody has. If you go out and ask, what would you like? Would you like plastic surgery? We are all going to say yes. What? If she does manage to get elected, she's pinky swear to keep running her OnlyFans account because I make too much money there. We are a sick and twisted, disturbed, dangerous species. Playboy model says she's too beautiful for love as men are scared to date her. A stunning Playboy model has said she struggles to find love because men are intimidated by her good looks. Seems like a nice problem to have if you ask me. Not me, but ask Elizabeth Marie Chevalier, who just like doesn't wear clothes. So yeah, where she works as a model, appearing on the front cover of numerous magazines, including Playboy and Maxim, also has a successful OnlyFans account. However, although she attracts plenty of admirers, amassing a whopping almost 2 million followers, when it comes to dating, Elizabeth struggles. I'm sorry, I don't want to date a billboard myself. She explained, I've been told that I'm intimidating to guys because I'm tall, 5'10", and I'm beautiful, and I have a very intense personality. Modesty is obviously not one of them. I'm actually very sweet and loving, so if they took the time to get to know me, they would realize that. I've been on a date where guys just can't speak to me. The men that do chat me up are usually too cocky and self-obsessed. They clearly go for every pretty girl in the room. They see us as trophies. When you do this to yourself, you become the trophy. You have decorated yourself to being the trophy. And you're going to get mad at everybody else for that. I would 100% date a fan, but every time I've met a guy through my Instagram, they have just treated me like a commodity. I know I wear a bikini online, but it's a job. Most guys can't see past that. Because that's all you have. It's not like you... It's not like you discovered radiation. Dating is hard. Guys are scared because I'm so beautiful. I would totally let a friend set me up with someone. In fact, I would prefer it. Elizabeth, who has been single for 6 months, says it's not just fellows who can have strong opinions about her good looks, as women often assume that she will steal their boyfriends. During one incident, a woman at a party started screaming in her face after she saw Elizabeth talking to her other half. When it comes to what she's looking for in a man, Elizabeth said, my ideal man is someone who is the strong but silent type. I like the tall, darker features, a handsome man. Age is not a problem to me, nor is their job, as long as they are successful and passionate. She's also looking for a confident man, adding he would just have to come up and say, hello, beautiful, can I ask you on a date? I like a guy who is very forward and knows what he wants. There you go. From an orderly queue, guys. Form an orderly queue. Man, so I think OnlyFans is probably one of the issues that is contributing to the decline of culture here in the United States. I could be wrong because I am just one guy in the middle of all this. It's a little past the half hour. We're going to take a quick news break, and when we come back, we're going to come back with Bill Moore, the chair of the Brunswick County GOP and a good friend of mine. And he's not a bad balloon bop player. We'll have to discuss some of that when we come back. Right here on the Asylum, your refuge in a world gone mad.
Hello, I'm Matt Bennett with WWAY News. American flags have been placed on graves in the Wilmington National Cemetery on Market Street ahead of Memorial Day. More than 5,000 flags are flying on graves at the cemetery. Many people across the Cape Fear and the country plan to observe Memorial Day by visiting graves of members of armed forces who died while serving. A Memorial Day ceremony will be held at 11 a.m. in the cemetery today, hosted by the New Hanover County Veterans Council. A man was retrieved from the ocean on Saturday afternoon near Southwest 23rd Street in Oak Island. Around 2 p.m., several agencies, including Water Rescue, Fire, and EMS, responded to a 911 call reporting a person seen struggling in the water. Oak Island Water Rescue Chief Peter Grenzy says bystanders were performing CPR on the male victim when they arrived. That man died on the scene. Authorities say he was from West Virginia and was visiting the area. At this time, his official cause of death has not been released. There is an autopsy underway. Hundreds of people attended the 26th annual Orange Street Arts Fest on Saturday as the two-day event came to a close. This is the first time since 2019 that the Orange Street Arts Fest was held on Memorial Day weekend due to the pandemic. The street fair was held on Orange Street between Front and 2nd Streets, Orange to Dock Streets, and inside the Hannah Block Historic USO Community Arts Center. It is one of the largest arts festivals in downtown Wilmington. It featured more than 80 artists' paintings, pottery, jewelry, and metal arts. And a concert raising money for those displaced by an ongoing mold crisis with the Wilmington Housing Authority was hosted by the Northside Food Co-op on Saturday at Pallet Bottle Shop and Garden. The Bring the House Up Relief Concert featured 6 different bands with all donations going to the New Hanover Disaster Coalition. In addition to the concert, the Pallet Bottle Shop and Garden has also been raising funds all month for the cause by giving 10% of their monthly proceeds. For more on these stories, you can head to WWAYTV3.com. I'm Matt Bennett. Have a great day.
Happy Monday, everybody. I'm WWAY meteorologist Ramel Carpenter with your Storm Track 3 forecast. Get ready for a fairly nice Memorial Day here in the Cape Fear. Certainly going to be hot and a bit on the humid side as our high temperatures climb into the low 90s away from the coast. Low to middle 80s will do it along the immediate coastline with a low-end risk for rip currents. Excellent beach weather on this Monday. Heading into the overnight hours tonight, we are expecting mostly clear skies. Temperatures will be mild in the middle and upper 60s, and it certainly will be a touch on the muggy side as well. Get your full forecast on WWAY and WWAYTV3.com.
This news and weather is brought to you by 2 Men and a Truck. For your free quote, go to 2menandatruck.com. 2menandatruck.com.
Our founders expected judges to apply, not make, our laws. I'm Trey Allen, conservative candidate for the North Carolina Supreme Court. More than 20 years ago, I began my legal career by joining the Marine Corps and taking an oath to support and defend the United States Constitution. As a justice on our state Supreme Court, I will continue to protect the Constitution by basing my rulings on the Founders' intent, not my personal views. Paid for by Trey Allen for Justice.
The Wilmington Cape Fear Home Builders Association serves as the advocate for the building industry, advancing professionalism and promoting community involvement. We are a positive force for responsible growth while protecting property rights and the privilege of home ownership. 3 out of every 5 jobs is touched in some manner by construction in our region. Growth generates jobs, maintains our property values, and builds and updates our infrastructure. Join us Friday mornings for the Construction Connection with the Wilmington Cape Fear Home Builders Association and the Big Talker FM.
Enjoying Big Talker Network is as easy as asking for it. Program your digital home assistants such as Google Home, Alexa, and Siri to stream Big Talker Network content by simple voice command. Enjoy convenient hands-free access to the program whenever you want, however you want by asking for Big Talker.
Boom, boom. Hey, welcome back to the Asylum, your refuge in a world gone mad, right here on the Big Talker Network. And as promised, our guest this morning, Mr. Bill Moore, the chair of the Brunswick County GOP, has joined us this morning. And I have a feeling we're not going to talk so much about hot dogs, hamburgers, and the unofficial start of summer. No?
I think you're probably right.
Well, welcome to the show, Mr. Moore. Good to have you back. We're going to have to get more balloons, by the way. I brought an entire bag, so I'll have them with me tomorrow. But anyway.
Well, good. I'm not there, remember?
Oh, man. The one week I actually get my stuff together and you're not going to be there.
I won't.
That's me.
I won't be back to the 12th, so I'll be back to show on the 13th. But
I'll have to teach everybody else how to play then.
Well, that should be interesting because, Dan has trouble walking and chewing gum, so this should be an interesting show.
And we can't say much about it, otherwise we get into a
sexist comment.
Yeah, we get into a lawsuit.
By the way, Mary, our friend Mary, was the recipient of the Ronald Reagan Service to the Community and the Party Award Saturday night at our dinner.
Get down. Congrats. Yeah, she's probably the only thing keeping y'all running.
Oh, God. She's just, she's our version of the Ever Ready Buddy. She just keeps rolling and working. And she's always the first hand up in the air when someone needs something done. So we were very proud to honor her that night. So we're very glad that we had a chance, and she was very pleased by it. So that went very, very well.
Oh, she's gonna be hard to handle tomorrow.
Yeah, she's always putting pictures on Facebook of her little award. So I'm not sure she won't still have it in her hand when she shows up Tuesday night. And you can surprise her about it because she won't even know you know.
And then you could. I may even have a little padded case, like a small suitcase, that you could put the award in and carry it with you safely.
Well, she has a box that's all lined and it's covered. It came with a nice protective thing. So
okay.
I'm sure she. If you see a little blue box running around there, you'll know that she's running around with her award with her. But anyway, thank you for having me on today. I want to talk a little bit before I get into what happened this weekend about what today is. Today's Memorial Day.
Today's a flag-waving burger day, right?
Absolutely. Everyone is having family gatherings, hot dogs, hamburgers, boating, or swimming at the beach, or swimming at your pool at home, or there's still a few people out there, by the way, working for us so we can have these good days, and we want to thank those people that are. But this day is all about. Yep, go ahead.
It's just a day off. I mean, it's a wonderful Monday day off that we don't have to wake up and.
Actually, this is coincidental because this is the actual day that was picked for Memorial Day. Before years ago, they decided to make it a 3-day weekend with the last weekend of the month, and it was actually May 30th, so that was an original day.
Whoa.
So this just happens to coincide with the original date that was picked for Memorial Day, which is a nice thing. But what I want to just remind everyone that while you're having those hot dogs and those hamburgers and enjoying yourself with whatever activities you're doing, we have that because of the freedom that was won by a number of our fellow Americans that gave their lives for us to have this freedom. And please separate this from 3 different functions. We have an Armed Forces Day earlier in May, and that's to celebrate those people that are in the military. We have a day in November which celebrates Veterans Day, which celebrates everyone who's ever served in the military. But this day is just put aside specifically for those that gave their lives for us, the ultimate sacrifice in a combat zone. So, this is a very, very special day. And, we don't teach this anymore, unfortunately, but we've lost a number of people. And I'm just going to do World War I on very quickly. In World War I, 116,516 Americans died. In World War II, it was 405,399 Americans. Korea lost 54,246 Americans. Vietnam lost a little over 58,000 Americans. The Persian Gulf, that's Gulf War for those that, in the early 90s. That was 1,565 Americans. And since we started this war on terror, we've lost 6,852 American lives. These are men and women who volunteered to sacrifice or go out and fight for their country, and they made the ultimate sacrifice. And we need to remember them on this day, and also a special prayer of thanks to their families who will never be with them again. And they need to be remembered also. So if we keep that in mind today, enjoy the holiday, have some fun, but carve out a couple of minutes to just thank and remember these Americans, men and women who gave their lives. And, it's also important to teach our kids what this is all about, because, those that don't remember history are doomed to repeat it. So we need to thank these people, remember the sacrifices, and why we have that freedom.
And there has been some conversation recently where they want to bring first responders into this fold, remembering the first responders that were fallen, for example, in the response to 9/11 or in response to the Murrah building, in the response to these various horrific events, to be memorialized as well. And I don't know how that falls into it, because this was set up originally as Decoration Day.
This was set up initially to honor our people who had died in the wars. To expand it would take an act of Congress, and I'm not necessarily opposed to those people having a day like that. But I really think, if you think about it, 9/11 that we celebrate in September kind of pulls in everyone that served in the fire departments, in the police departments, and first responders, in all areas. And we honor those people, both alive and dead, for their service to us. So I really think this day needs to stay sacrosanct on its own, because of the fact that it honors so many Americans over so many years that made the ultimate sacrifice. And this does not even throw in the Civil War, where if you take both sides of the Civil War, it ends up almost being 1 million soldiers dead. And it's about even both sides. I think the Confederates lost a little bit more than we did, but just under 1 million soldiers died just fighting the Civil War. So we've lost a lot of youth. And just imagine how different our country would have been if these people had a chance to live. Or the other side of the coin is, if they didn't do it, where would our country be? I mean, would we be speaking German? Would we be in the country we are today? So those are questions that need to be thought about, explained to our families and our kids especially, so they appreciate the freedoms that they have, and that, the sacrifice people made to give them those freedoms.
So it does seem fair enough to have another awareness that this is specifically to the sacrifices of the brothers, sons, fathers, mothers, sisters, daughters that have fallen in this.
In battles starting from the Civil War, starting from the Revolution, right up through, our war on terror today. And these are people that families will never see them again. Sons will never be seen by their fathers. Fathers will never see their sons. Again, mothers will never see their kids. Children will not have their parents, whatever, male or female. And it affects their lives for the rest of their lives. But without that sacrifice, our country would be in big trouble if we even exist.
I just got a reminder here on my chat text thingy that another thing to point out is, except for obviously the Civil War, many of these unfortunate souls were in a foreign country, in a field somewhere. They didn't have anybody they knew. It's a completely different arrangement than being in a hospital or being with your family and friends. You're alone in the middle of a field somewhere getting shot at by people who don't like you. Just because.
And some of those people's bodies will never be returned here. I mean, if you go to Normandy and see that field of crosses, which is just awe-inspiring. And, one of the most famous lines from that was, when America fights on foreign wars, we're not there for territory. All we ask for is just a little piece of land to bury our dead, which is different from almost every other country in the world that their history is fighting for land, for resources, for whatever you call it.
Like we're seeing right now.
Yep.
Yeah, the big land grab. I mean, that's what we're killing people for and dying for, is a little patch of grass. And to see that happening in Europe right now is just, it's surreal that we haven't in the 21st century gotten our collective act together.
Well, collectively, you have to remember, it's historically, if you look at every war that's basically happened, it's usually happened for natural resources. Russia, for example, wants a warm water port. Other countries want the natural resources that are within the country, and consider the fact that people are considered a resource. So if you're short people and you need people, or slaves, as they were years ago when they were conquered and people were made slaves, or if you have oil, if you have coal, if you have mines for various kind of natural resources.
If you're short people, you're battling an uphill fight.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's what I almost find ironic today when we, in our own country, when we choose by edict of our president not to use our natural resources because we're going to save the world. All we're doing is using everybody else's resources, spending more money and energy to bring it here. And then sooner or later, when those resources run out, do you think all those countries are going to say, let's protect the U.S. resources, or are they going to come here and get it one way or the other because they need it? So, it's just amazing to me that people don't think far enough through things like this.
I certainly don't think as far as in terms of having a community, I think, which is, I think, what makes the size of the United States as a success as a country is in that sense of culture and community.
But we're fast losing that. And, speaking of Memorial Day, something that really frightens me is what we're doing in our schools, because we're teaching our children that America is a horrible place. It's a terrible place. It's a racist place. And look, this country is not without issues. And they've been addressing and solving those issues for the last 250 years. And it's better than it ever was. But I have to tell you, we're the only country in the world, for all practical purposes, that people are climbing over walls to get into on a normal basis, other than a war going on that drives refugees away. People are trying to get here because of the opportunities that we have. Yet we teach all this generations right now of kids that America's evil, America's bad, our founding fathers are racist. What happens, God forbid, when the next war begins and we're asking these youngsters to volunteer to go fight? I mean, do they go, or would they fight for a racist country? Because that's what they've been taught. Or is it about time we started teaching patriotism so that people understand when and if, and God forbid they have to go to war, there will be people there to fight it. But that scares me, what we're doing to our young, because they're just being taught the wrong things.
We have eliminated education of the of our system of government. We no longer teach civics. We no longer teach the Constitution. We no longer teach the Declaration of Independence. And now we have people that admittedly, while interviewed on camera, are saying, I've not read the Constitution, it's too long.
Or it's too old, it doesn't count.
Right, and it's 7 paragraphs long? The first one and the 7th one don't really count. One just says, hey, this is what we are, and the last one says, we misspelled a word. The other 5 are the important ones.
And then you got 28 amendments that just make adjustments over the years for, as societies change, that they had to do certain things. So, and it's interesting that there's only one amendment that was ever canceled out by another amendment, which was prohibition. So every other amendment is still in effect except that one.
Because we like our alcohol.
Yeah.
Which I'm guessing is going to be a big part of today's celebrations. Or I don't know if celebration is the right word. That's where I get confused. This is the only holiday that's not really... It's a very dour holiday. It's not really a celebratory holiday.
I think you can say two things with it. it's a day of remembrance, yet still a celebration of family. But we have to remember that part, the remembrance part for the families and for the men and women that didn't come home. Yet at the same time, after that remembrance, it is still a time for our family to get together and enjoy the fruits of our freedom. So it is a conflict, if you will, in someone's mind. But I think if they go with the fact that it is a time of remembrance, yet still a celebration of family, I think that covers everything.
The fact that we can barbecue with Bud Light and not vodka is probably a good... and I prefer my morning coffee to morning tea, so the independence alone was a good start.
If I am not a pleasant person until my first cup of coffee hits my hands. So that I agree with.
So what are you doing? What are you doing today then?
Actually, I'm preparing to go on a trip, and then we're gonna spend some time. As a matter of fact, there's a little memorial going on at 9:30 or 9:45 in Belleville up here, and I'm going to drive up there to be part of it, just to because I should and because I need to.
And then you're getting the hell out of town.
Then I'm heading on a vacation. And my wife basically told me if I'd like to stay married, I'm going. So,
well, that had to be a tough choice.
Well, yeah, it was one of those things that she's absolutely right, because I devote a lot of time to what I'm doing with the county down here, and she's a great trooper about me being gone probably 50 hours a week, and she doesn't complain. But occasionally when she says now it's time to do something for us, I figure that it's time to listen. So that's what I'm doing. So we're going away. We'll be back on the 12th, and I'll be back on the show on the 13th, which is that Monday. And I will miss a couple of our radio shows down there, or our stream shows. But I'm sure I'm in good hands with Mary and with Dan there. And they are doing tomorrow night. They're starting a 2-part show on small businesses. So you can issues the small businesses have during the pandemic, how difficult it is now to get one started. Based on the regulations that are out there and that were forced upon them during the pandemic.
Like the guy, friend of mine, I'm not a good friend, I just happen to know him, that he decided in late 2019, he finally got all his funding together, got all his money together, got all his, certificates and certs and whatever else, and opened a restaurant. It was open for about 3 months before it all came crashing down and had to lock up, and surviving that has had to be a challenge. In fact, the story I covered earlier, we can't even keep the public schools or the public pools open because we don't have enough lifeguards.
Right. And I'm seeing that wherever you drive, there's signs out there looking for staff. I know my son, for example, lives in New York. He has a business, and he can't find a helpers because he does reconstruction of housings and things like this. And he's offering $25 an hour and can't get help.
Man, I'm going to have to up my own charge. Could I charge that just to wake up?
By the way, you're worth it. So.
That's definitely comforting. That just made my Monday a lot better than it was. Thank you.
There you go. Because, anyway, and finally, before I got to go and let you do your show, on last Saturday night, we had the Lincoln Reagan Douglas dinner in Brunswick County at St. James, where we had about 150 people gather, and we heard some excellent speakers. We had Clarence Henderson was supposed to be there. He's one of the Woolworth Five and leader of the Frederick Douglass Foundation, and he unfortunately came down with COVID. But the chairman of the state, Michael Watley, came on for us, and he filled in one spot. Congressman Rouser was our keynote speaker. He did an outstanding job. And then in addition to that, we had Jonathan Ugasaki on, who actually lives in New Hanover, but he's the vice chair of the state's program for Hispanic outreach. And his speech was, and he's probably someone you should have on the show sometime because his talk is fascinating. It's Venezuelan by birth and American by choice.
Never met the man.
Yeah, you lie like a rug.
We've had him on a number of times. He's an incredible pack of energy to have on a show.
Yes, he is. He and his wife are great people and great Americans. And then finally, we gave out our awards. We started a new program we've combined with Juneteenth. which is, if, for those people who are not aware what Juneteenth is, when the Emancipation Proclamation was signed during the Civil War, it took literally almost 2 years for it to get from to every slave, and the last part was in Texas. And when they finally, it was June 19th there, when they finally got the message that slavery had ended. So in the African American community, Juneteenth has always been a traditional day celebrating the end of slavery. And we've combined with the African American community in Brunswick, and we've given out a number of awards. So our first recipient for the achievement for outreach to the Black community and trying to fight inequity and racial thing went to our sheriff, John Ingram. And he was a unanimous choice and a very easy choice by our committee for all the work he has done within the Black community with programs, with helping people succeed. And he's got some great programs out there, even helping with the people who are drug addicted. So, and that's an old community, it's not just the Black community. So I don't want to imply that. And then we gave out another award it was a Frederick Douglass Award for achievement within the Black community, helping the Black community. And that was given posthumously to Judge Ola Lewis, who died much too early ago. She was in her 50s, but she was a great worker of equality and sponsored a lot of programs to come up with alternatives just to putting young men and women in jail, alternatives that would turn them around. And she worked with our sheriff to get a number of that stuff done. So it was a good reward for both of them. And that last award I mentioned earlier, when Miss Mary got her award for service to the community and the party. So all in all, the thing went very, very well that night. And we're very, very pleased. And we'll do it again next year and see who the winners are then.
Nice. Well, I tell you what, you're going to need another suitcase. You have to take,
Really?
Yeah, you're going to have to take an empty suitcase so you can bring back all the wonderful treasures to share with your friends who are, stuck in Holly Ridge.
But now, you see, unfortunately, I'm going to Alaska, so all I can bring it back is an iceberg and it melts.
Oh, no. Alaska's got some cool things. The Inuits have a tradition of their clothing, which is made all from animal skin. There's also a tradition of handmade snowshoes. There's a friend of our family's when I was a very young boy who had spent decades in the Alaskan wilderness working with these people. So his Alaskan room, as he called it, was all of his, the shields and the spears and the snowshoes and the animals and there's a lot of history up in Alaska.
Oh, and that's why I'm going up to take a look and see what's going on. But I'm going to tell you what, just to get even with you, I may bring you back something from animal fur, and then I'm going to tip off PETA that you got it.
That's fine. Good press. All press is good press. I will happily wear that animal skin. I mean, I do now. I wear leather boots and leather jackets all the time. I mean, cow is my favorite animal for exactly that reason. You can eat it, you can wear it, you can chew toy your dog to, keep him busy. I mean, it's the perfect animal.
And one of my favorite lines from that is some people are out there complaining that cow flatulence is a major cause of pollution. So my solution for that is I'd like a liberal friend to volunteer with me, and I will go in one garage, lock the doors with a cow, and I want them to go in another garage with a running car and lock that door, and I'll see them in the morning.
But they won't see you in the morning.
Well, that's not my problem. We're going to prove a point.
But it might take 6 or 7 cows.
I'll take 6 or 7 cows in there. I'll still bet you I win.
Only if you can break that bronco.
Okay, sir.
Well, sir, you have a wonderful vacation. We will see you in a couple of weeks back at All Things Brunswick, which occurs on Tuesday nights live on the Big Talker from 6 to 7. This week is going to be unattended, Unchained with Dan and Mary. No oversight.
Well, yeah, you'll be there.
Well, I'll be there. I'm just pushing buttons. I'm teaching Greta how to do this. In a couple of weeks when you come back, I'll be hands off. Y'all be independent. You'll be just like your own little country.
just like our own little country. We'll be there on our own. But anyway, I will see you on the show. I'll be on the show with you again on the 13th, and then I'll see you on the 14th at the other show.
Yes, sir. You have a fantastic time, and at the event here in about a half an hour. Can you restate what that was? I don't remember. You said it was a gathering.
There's a Memorial Day Remembrance program that's going on in Belleville in about a half an hour. And I'm going to go up there just to join, to remember those that gave their lives in support of this country.
And that's why we have Memorial Day, ladies and gentlemen. And with that in mind, I guess I think the music has overpowered what Bill was trying to say. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say goodbye and enjoy.
Well, thank you so much for your time. Get packing, get moving. And we will see you in a couple of weeks if we don't hear from you while you're gone.
You never know. The asylum goes to strange places, so you never know.
We are live and worldwide right here on the Big Talker, so you will get us up in Alaska. I promise you that. With that in mind, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to take a quick break. And we'll be right back after these messages. So don't go nowhere. The Asylum, your refuge in a world gone mad. I'll be right back.
Keeping Whiteville informed. The Big Talker 106.7 FM WFBT, Carolina Beach.
Tune in to the WWAY News at 6 p.m.
Thank you for joining us tonight for your news at 6. I'm Hannah Patrick.
I'm Randy Aldridge. We want to get straight to our WWAY team coverage of last night.
For the biggest and most compelling stories that make a difference.
On the scene shortly after the blaze began and has the story now.
Cleveland is one of the fastest growing towns in the country.
First court appearance this morning in Pender County.
WWAY News at 6 p.m. This is the place.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the Lingo.
GOAT, G-O-A-T, acronym, stands for Greatest of All Time. As in, spaghetti sandwiches for dinner? They're my fave. Dad, you're the GOAT.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same. Visit adoptuskids.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Hello, I'm Matt Bennett with WWAY News. American flags have been placed on graves in the Wilmington National Cemetery on Market Street ahead of Memorial Day. More than 5,000 flags are flying on graves at the cemetery. Many people across the Cape Fear and the country plan to observe Memorial Day by visiting graves of members of armed forces who died while serving. A Memorial Day ceremony will be held at 11 a.m. in the cemetery today, hosted by the New Hanover County Veterans Council. A man was retrieved from the ocean on Saturday afternoon near Southwest 23rd Street in Oak Island. Around 2 p.m., several agencies, including Water Rescue, Fire, and EMS, responded to a 911 call reporting a person seen struggling in the water. Oak Island Water Rescue Chief Peter Grenzy says bystanders were performing CPR on the male victim when they arrived. That man died on the scene. Authorities say he was from West Virginia and was visiting the area. At this time, his official cause of death has not been released. There is an autopsy underway. Hundreds of people attended the 26th annual Orange Street Arts Fest on Saturday as the two-day event came to a close. This is the first time since 2019 that the Orange Street Arts Fest was held on Memorial Day weekend due to the pandemic. The street fair was held on Orange Street between Front and 2nd Streets, Orange to Dock Streets, and inside the Hannah Block Historic USO Community Arts Center. It is one of the largest arts festivals in downtown Wilmington. It featured more than 80 artists' paintings, pottery, jewelry, and metal arts. And a concert raising money for those displaced by an ongoing mold crisis with the Wilmington Housing Authority was hosted by the Northside Food Co-op on Saturday at Palette Bottle Shop and Garden. The Bring the House Up Relief Concert featured 6 different bands with all donations going to the New Hanover Disaster Coalition. In addition to the concert, the Palette Bottle Shop and Garden has also been raising funds all month for the cause by giving 10% of their monthly proceeds. For more on these stories, you can head to WWAYTV3.com. I'm Matt Bennett. Have a great day.
Happy Monday, everybody. I'm WWAY meteorologist Ramel Carpenter with your Storm Track 3 forecast. Get ready for a fairly nice Memorial Day here in the Cape Fear. Certainly going to be hot and a bit on the humid side as our high temperatures climb into the low 90s away from the coast. Low to middle 80s will do it along the immediate coastline with a low-end risk for rip currents. Excellent beach weather on this Monday. Heading into the overnight hours tonight, we are expecting mostly clear skies. Temperatures will be mild in the middle and upper 60s, and it certainly will be a touch on the muggy side as well. Get your full forecast on WWAY and WWAYTV3.com.
This news and weather is brought to you by 2 Men and a Truck. For your free quote, go to 2menandatruck.com. 2menandatruck.com.
When might you be buzzed? When you suddenly love everything.
You guys! I love this song! I love these nachos. I love our kickball league! Ugh! I love this guy! What's your name? You know what I'd love? A ride when it's time to head out.
If you see a buzzed warning sign, call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
I love your car. Is this real leather?
Enjoying Big Talker Network is as easy as asking for it. Program your digital home assistants such as Google Home, Alexa, and Siri to stream Big Talker Network content by simple voice command. Enjoy convenient hands-free access to program whenever you want, however you want by asking for Big Talker.
We're the Goo Goo Dolls. We're fortunate that our daughters have what they need to grow and learn. But that isn't the case for nearly 13 million kids in the U.S. that struggle with hunger.
Childhood hunger is a heartbreaking reality that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste and provides it to families and children in need.
You can help kids in need in your community by visiting feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to the Asylum, your refuge in a world gone mad, right here on the Big Talker. Please visit our website, bigtalker.live, for a schedule of our content. Download the app for the Android and iOS devices, and for you super savvy folk, you can Bluetooth pair your smart device with your automobile's entertainment system and take the Big Talker anywhere and everywhere you need to be. That's right. We're like herpes. You can't get rid of it. Pretty awesome. All right. So I'm hoping that, one of the things, common elements of the people who would enjoy this show and this station are people who read. Readers. Sometimes truth is stranger than fiction. And again, I would hope that even if you are reading, at least you, read, at least read. Every now and again, maybe you get a little dime store romance novel in your collection, which, come on. It's not going to help, but at least you're reading, right? I would rather people be reading really trashy books than killing people. However, as NPR points out, sometimes those wires get crossed. And when truth is fiction and fiction is truth, you end up in Portland, Oregon. A book written, How to Murder Your Husband. Well, the author was found guilty of murdering her husband. How does that go? Romance writer Nancy Crampton, in the photograph I am referring to, accused of killing her husband, Dan Brophy, in June 2018. A jury in Portland, Oregon has convicted a self-published romance novelist who once wrote an essay titled How to Murder Your Husband of fatally shooting her husband 4 years ago. Take two. A jury of 7 women and 5 men found Nancy Crampton Brophy, 71, guilty of second-degree murder Wednesday after deliberating over 2 days in Chef Daniel Brophy's death. Chef Daniel Brophy's. Brophy, 63, was killed June 2nd, 2018, as he prepped for work at the Oregon Culinary Institute in southwest Portland. Crampton Brophy displayed no visible reaction inside the crowded Multnomah County courtroom. It's in Oregon, in the county courtroom in Oregon. Lisa Maxwell Maxfield, one of Crampton Brophy's attorneys, said the defense team plans to appeal. Prosecutors told jurors that Crampton Brophy was motivated by money problems and a life insurance policy. Crampton Brophy said during the trial, however, she had no reason to kill her husband and that their financial problems had largely been solved by cashing in a chunk of Brophy's retirement savings plan. She owned the same make and model of gun used to kill her husband and was seen on the surveillance camera footage driving to and from the Culinary Institute, court exhibits and court testimony showed. Police never found the gun that killed Brophy. Prosecutors allege Crampton Brophy swapped out the barrel of the gun used in the shooting and then discarded the barrel. Defense attorneys said the gun parts were inspiration for Crampton Brophy's writing and suggested someone else might have killed Brophy during a robbery gone wrong. Crampton Brophy testified during the trial that her presence near the culinary school on the day of her husband's death was mere coincidence and that she had parked in the area to work on her writing. Crampton Brophy's how-to treatise detailed various options for committing an untraceable killing and professed a desire to avoid getting caught. Circuit Judge Christopher Ramras ultimately excluded the essay from the trial, noting it was published in 2011. A prosecutor, however, alluded to the essay's themes without naming it after Crampton Brophy took the stand. Crampton Brophy has remained in custody since her arrest in September 2018, several months after her husband was shot. Her sentencing has been scheduled for June 13, 2022. How's that? Got a couple more here. How about political, what's the word I'm looking for? Entitlement. Okay. It was May 30, by the way. Same day. Pelosi's husband, Nancy Pelosi, that's right. Mr. Nancy Pelosi. Remember in the old days, like when my mom would be introduced to people, she was introduced as Mrs. Doctor, right? She was Dad's wife. It was very difficult for her to get, until she was, doing like the opera thing, and then it was her own credit. But for the most part, and another place in Louisville, the Women's Club of Louisville, they never refer to themselves as themselves. They refer to themselves as Mrs. Husband's name. So, here we turn the table. So it's Pelosi's husband, Mr. Nancy Pelosi, I guess, or Mr. Pelosi. Did you know that he was arrested on suspicion of DUI in California? Napa Valley, Napa. Paul Pelosi. The 82-year-old husband of U.S. Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi was arrested this weekend on suspicion of DUI in Northern California, police records showed on Sunday. Paul Pelosi was taken into custody late Saturday in Napa County, north of San Francisco, according to a sheriff's office online booking report. He could face charges including driving under the influence and driving with a blood alcohol content of 0.08 or higher. Wait a minute. So these are two different charges? I don't get it. If you're charged with drunk driving, all this blood alcohol thing is evidence of this crime. He could face charges including driving under the influence and driving. If your blood alcohol is 0.08 or higher, you're driving under the influence. It's one charge. I don't know what this is about. But anyway, driving under the influence. I get it. Including driving under the influence of conspiracy theory, which I would believe if he was wearing a tinfoil hat or a colander when they pulled him over. Mr. Pelosi's bail was set for $5,000 for the two misdemeanors. So it's two charges, two misdemeanors. Okay. But hey, Pelosi's worth what? Several $1 million now? I'm sure they can just buy the court at this point. No other details were immediately available. No other details are really needed. The guy was drunk. They arrested him. What other details are there? what suit he was wearing. Did he? The only detail I'm concerned with is if he had the colander on his head. California Highway Patrol Officer Andrew Barclay said more information would be released later Sunday. Drew Hamill, spokesman for Nancy Pelosi, told the Associated Press the speaker will not be commenting on this private matter which occurred while she was on the East Coast. That's right. While the wife is away, the husband will get a DUI. The House Speaker was in Providence, Rhode Island on Sunday, where she delivered a commencement address at Brown University. Of course, TMZ, the smoking gun guys, they first reported it. They were the ones who broke the story. Paul and Nancy have been married since before I was born, back at 1963. Maybe it works that way. If you keep one on one coast and one on the other, I'm sure they get along great. But your boy's going to have to cut down on the cocktails before racing around Marin. Well, he's not in Marin County. I'm sorry. He's in that other weird county. What was the county? Nope, Napa County. I was in Marin County for a while, up in that same area. But, yeah. So if you think there's some entitlement that you may have missed out on, just think, you could be Pelosi, who's making millions of dollars in the stock market. I mean, it's not like she's the best stockbroker type person to ever have, but somehow, miraculously, after being in office, how long has Pelosi been in office? Uh, 12th District, California, Senator, let's see. Speaker since 2019. Oh, she's been in this game since 1987. 87, 97, 07, 17. That's 35 years. Most people don't have a career 35 years. So she's been in this position 35 years and is now worth, if I read this correctly, $114 million? What? That can't be right. There's got to be a decimal in here somewhere. No! No. She's rated the 6th richest person in the House of Representatives with an estimated net worth in the neighborhood of $114.7 million. And that's for a person with no marketable skills. I mean, that's more than that Jesus chick was doing and stripping for OnlyFans, right? She's making $120,000 a month in 10 months, right? Okay. $114.6 million. I think she can afford the $5,000 bond for her drunk husband. And yeah, that'll be another question. At some point, history is going to have to open those books and figure out how someone like Nancy Pelosi can make $114.6 million in 2018. And I'm not sure I understand the rest of these numbers, but apparently she's got $15 million in Apple, another $16 million in electronics manufacturing and equipment, and about $46.5 million in real estate. So, hey, however that works, the rich get elected and the elected get rich. So you poor folk are just going to have to learn a marketable skill, or hope that you're cute enough that taking off all your clothes will will encourage people to throw money at you. And if you're stripping for God, you can strip until your 70s. I guess. I don't know. Nope. Yeah, it is a good time. Sorry. Oh, it's good to have my chat window open so people can remind me when I sound really stupid on air. So with that in mind, we'll be right back, just as the screen says. Isn't that funny? The Asylum, your refuge in a world gone mad. Be right back. Don't go nowhere.
Hello, I'm Matt Bennett with WWAY News. American flags have been placed on graves in the Wilmington National Cemetery on Market Street ahead of Memorial Day. More than 5,000 flags are flying on graves at the cemetery. Many people across the Cape Fear and the country plan to observe Memorial Day by visiting graves of members of armed forces who died while serving. A Memorial Day ceremony will be held at 11 a.m. in the cemetery today, hosted by the New Hanover County Veterans Council. A man was retrieved from the ocean on Saturday afternoon near Southwest 23rd Street in Oak Island. Around 2 p.m., several agencies, including Water Rescue, Fire, and EMS, responded to a 911 call reporting a person seen struggling in the water. Oak Island Water Rescue Chief Peter Grenzi says bystanders were performing CPR on the male victim when they arrived. That man died on the scene. Authorities say he was from West Virginia and was visiting the area. At this time, his official cause of death has not been released. There is an autopsy underway. Hundreds of people attended the 26th annual Orange Street Arts Fest on Saturday as the two-day event came to a close. This is the first time since 2019 that the Orange Street Arts Fest was held on Memorial Day weekend due to the pandemic. The street fair was held on Orange Street between Front and 2nd Streets, Orange to Dock Streets, and inside the Hannah Block Historic USO Community Arts Center. It is one of the largest arts festivals in downtown Wilmington. It featured more than 80 artists' paintings, pottery, jewelry, and metal arts. And a concert raising money for those displaced by an ongoing mold crisis with the Wilmington Housing Authority was hosted by the Northside Food Co-op on Saturday at Pallet Bottle Shop and Garden. The Bring the House Up Relief Concert featured 6 different bands with all donations going to the New Hanover Disaster Coalition. In addition to the concert, the Pallet Bottle Shop and Garden has also been raising funds all month for the cause by giving 10% of their monthly proceeds. For more on these stories, you can head to WWAYTV3.com. I'm Matt Bennett. Have a great day.
Happy Monday, everybody. I'm WWAY meteorologist Ramel Carpenter with your Storm Track 3 forecast. Get ready for a fairly nice Memorial Day here in the Cape Fear. Certainly going to be hot and a bit on the humid side as our high temperatures climb into the low 90s away from the coast. Low to middle 80s will do it along the immediate coastline with a low-end risk for rip currents. Excellent beach weather on this Monday. Heading into the overnight hours tonight, we are expecting mostly clear skies. Temperatures will be mild in the middle and upper 60s, and it certainly will be a touch on the muggy side as well. Get your full forecast on WWAY and WWAYTV3.com.
This news and weather is brought to you by 2 Men and a Truck. For your free quote, go to 2menandatruck.com. 2menandatruck.com.
My name is Brian Wilson. I'm running for District Court Judge. During my lifetime, I've gone from protecting your God-given and constitutional freedoms as a combat vet of the U.S. military to working locally as a carpenter building homes while I worked my way through college. For the past 17 years, I've been protecting and defending your constitutional rights in the courtroom. I'm currently protecting our rights of our most vulnerable, our children, as the guardian ad litem attorney advocate for the children of Brunswick, Columbus, and Bladen County. I've spent my career serving our country, our state, and our communities, so I ask that you continue your confidence by voting for me, Brian Wilson, in the primary elections on May 17th. Thank you.
The Wilmington Cape Fear Home Builders Association serves as the advocate for the building industry, advancing professionalism and promoting community involvement. We are a positive force for responsible growth while protecting property rights and the privilege of home ownership. 3 out of every 5 jobs is touched in some manner by construction in our region. Growth generates jobs, maintains our property values, and builds and updates our infrastructure. Join us Friday mornings for the Construction Connection with the Wilmington Cape Fear Home Builders Association and the Big Talker FM.
O'Leary's Automotive Repair has multiple locations in the area in Hampstead, Leland, the Myrtle Grove area, Ogden, and Wrightsboro. O'Leary's Automotive Repair, a trusted, locally owned business since 2006.
Whew. Ooh. Yeah, there it is. Well, get your Monday rolling. It's a day off Monday. And as long as we're having a day off in America, we can look around the world and make fun of them. Why not? I mean, Colombia, man, I think the United States misunderstands Colombia. Colombia only wants what's best for us, right? They want to keep this country running at high levels of efficiency, which is why Colombia gives America coffee and cocaine. If there was nothing else that drove America from the, late 70s through the 2000s, if anything fueled America's growth, it was coffee and cocaine. So we can't get too mad at Colombia, right? I mean, we buy this stuff, right? So you can't blame them. But currently, stuff's happening. Associated Press, by way of NPR, a leftist will face a businessman as Colombia's presidential race heads to a runoff. How's that? Bogota. In a blow, get it, blow. In a blow to Colombia's political class, a leftist former rebel and a populist businessman took the top 2 spots in the country's presidential election Sunday and headed to a runoff showdown in June. Leftist, I guess, senator or senor, I don't know. If you're going to use abbreviations when dealing with a culture that is based on another language, you need to, I don't know. I guess it's senator. I don't know if they have senators in Bogota. But anyway, leftist Senator Gustavo Petro led the field of 6 candidates with just over 40% of the votes, while independent real estate tycoon Rodolfo Hernandez finished second with more than 28%, election authorities said Sunday evening. Better check those Venezuelan voting machines. A candidate needed 50% of the total votes to win outright. The contest held amid a popularized environment and growing discontent over increasing inequality and inflation. No matter who wins June 19th, the South American country, long governed by conservatives or moderates, will see a dramatic shift in presidential politics. Petro has promised to make significant adjustments to the economy, including tax reform and to change how Colombia fights drug cartels and other armed groups. Hernandez, whose spot in the runoff contest came as a surprise, has few connections to political parties and promises to reduce wasteful government spending and to offer rewards for people who report corrupt officials. We could use that here. Looking at areas where Hernandez won in some of the most traditional heartland departments, the rejection of the status quo, even among many of the most conservative Colombians, really does show a disgust with the traditional workings of Colombian politics, said Adam Isaacson, an expert on Colombia at the Washington Office on Latin America think tank. Think tank is such a bad term. It is a think tank. Just admit that you're throwing money at people to tell you what you don't want to know. All right. Petro's main rival for most of the campaign was Federico Gutierrez, a former mayor of Medellin, who was seen as the continuity candidate and ran on a pro-business economic growth platform. But Hernandez began to move up strongly in recent polls heading into the election. There has been a series of leftist political victories in Latin America as people seek change at a time of dissatisfaction with the economic climate. Chile, Peru, and Honduras elected leftist presidents in 2021, and in Brazil, former President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva is leading the polls for this year's presidential election. And in 2018, Mexico elected a leftist president. The main problem in the country is the inequality of conditions. The work is not well paid, said Jenny Bello, who sold coffee near a long line of voters under a typical cloudy sky in the capital of Bogota. She had to resort to informal sales after months without work because of the pandemic. This was the second presidential election held since the government signed in 2016 a peace agreement with the Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia, known as FARC? Oh, I guess. For its initials in Spanish, which would be, the Force Armed Revolutionary Colombian. Right? They do it all backwards. But the divisive agreement was not a main issue during the campaign, which focused on poverty, inflation, and other challenges exacerbated by the pandemic. This is Petro's third attempt to become president. He was defeated in 2018 by Ivan Duque, who was not eligible to seek re-election. What is in dispute today is change. The political parties allied to the government of Duque, his political project, has been defeated in Colombia, Petro told his supporters as they celebrated at his campaign headquarters in Bogotá. Colombia's total vote launches that message to the world. A period is ending, an era is ending. A victory for Petro would usher in a new political era in a country that has long marginalized the left due to its perceived association with the nation's armed conflict. He was once a rebel with the now defunct M19 movement and was granted amnesty after being jailed for his involvement with the group. The peace accords of 2016 really broke the link between left politics and guerrillas terrorists, Isaacson said. I think people suddenly realized they could be very critical of the existing system without being painted as a guerrilla. That's one of the freedoms we have here in America, is that we can gather to redress grievances. We're supposed to do it without weapons. We're supposed to do it without violence. We are allowed to peacefully assemble. But in a sign of resistance to a leftist government, Gutierrez endorsed Hernandez shortly after he was left out of the runoff. Knowing that our position is decisive for the future of Colombia, we have made a decision. We do not want to lose the country, Gutierrez said, adding that he would support Hernandez because he does not want to put Colombia at risk. Petro has promised to make significant adjustments to the economy, including tax reform, as well as changes to how Colombia fights drug cartels and other armed groups. Hernandez, the former mayor of the north-central city of... Bucaramanga, surged... the central city of Bucaramanga surged in recent polls with promises to clean the country of corruption and to donate his salary. Oh, we've seen that trick before. If he buys a hotel in Bogota, you know what playbook he's taken from. Now, we enter the second period, and these next few days will be decisive in determining the future of the company, Hernandez said in a live stream after early results he showed that he had advanced to the runoff. He said he remains firm on his commitment to end corruption as a system of government. A Gallup poll, which I thought was uniquely American myself, a Gallup poll conducted earlier this month said 75% of Colombians believe the country is heading in the wrong direction, and only 27% approve of Duque. A poll last year by Gallup found 60% of those questions were finding it hard to get by on their income. The pandemic set back the country's anti-poverty efforts by at least a decade. Official figures show that 39% of Colombians, 51.6 million residents, live on less than $89 a month last year, which has a slight improvement from 42.5%. So apparently in 2020, 42.5% could live on $89 a month, but now only 39% can. Try and buy a house in North Carolina, in this area of North Carolina. That $89 is never mind. Inflation reached its highest levels in 2 decades last month. Duque's administration said April's 9.2% rate was part of a global inflationary phenomenon, but the argument did nothing to tame discontent over increasing food prices. The vote serves to change the country, and I think that this responsibility falls a lot on young people who want to reach standards that allow us to have a decent life, said Juan David Gonzalez, 28, who voted for the second time in a presidential election. In addition to economic challenges, Colombia's next president will also have to face a complex security issue and corruption, which is a top concern for voters. The Red Cross last year concluded Colombia reached its highest level of violence in the last 5 years. Although the peace agreement with the FARC has been implemented, the terrorist and drug trafficking routes that it once controlled are in dispute between other armed groups, such as the National Liberation Army, or ELN, a guerrilla founded in 1960s, Farce dissidents, and the Gulf Clan cartel. So apparently, the cocaine is still coming from Colombia. Have no fear. I mean, okay, so some people might push back that it's like, why are you encouraging cocaine? Okay, so drug overdose in America over the last same period, 5 years, has probably been of a greater attribution to fentanyl than to cocaine. So as long as the cocaine doesn't have fentanyl in it, it's just going to be like a really strong cup of coffee. Not something that I need. I'm good with my coffee. I like my Colombian coffee. Believe me, it's 100% Colombian. I searched for that stuff. But yeah, apparently the ELN, the guerrilla found the Farce, whatever, dissidents, and the Gulf Clan cartel are just 3 of the groups that control more of Colombia than Colombia does. Duque's successor, because I mean Albuquerque, so that'd be Duque. Yeah, successor will have to decide whether to resume peace talks with the ELN, which he suspended in 2019 after an attack killed more than 20 people. Corruption in state entities is the main problem in the country, Edgar Gonzalez said after voting in Bogota. A very big change is taking place in the country's politics, and if we all exercise the right, we are going to achieve that change. That would be nice. It would be nice to have the entire South American continent on a friendly and growing path, right? I mean, by all rights, there is enough. What's the word I'm looking for? There's enough for everybody on this planet. The fact that, 2 people in America, 3 people in America, own 80% of the country's wealth, there is absolutely no reason for that. There is absolutely no reason for there to be starving people anywhere on this planet. There's absolutely no reason for illiteracy, autocracy, any of this. This is the 21st century. It's about damn time we as a species grew up and met that. If we weren't paying so much attention to what everybody else was doing, or distracted by TikTok and what's that other one that naked chick was on? OnlyFans. Just imagine how much further we had been along this road of progress if we weren't so obsessed with our ding-dings. If we weren't so obsessed with the naked bits and the naked bits of other people and what they're doing with their naked bits. That's what this whole LGBT thing is about. What you do with your bits is your business, and you do not need to put those bits in my face. You want purple hair, combat boots, and a wedding dress? That's fine. But don't try to ram that crap down my throat. That's not me, that's you. Enjoy it, have fun. If I laugh, you're just going to have to deal with it, because to me, that's some hilarious shit. Right? And people laugh at me with my long hair and my Spinal Tap t-shirts, or whatever band shirt I happen to have on. That's my uniform. And when people giggle at it and laugh at it, I kind of play along usually. And then I remind them I got to see the good bands when they were still alive, young, and healthy. No, I never saw Motley Crue or that other crap band with the fat guy. Welcome to the Jungle, We Got Pies and Cake, the guy that needs oxygen between songs. I don't know why the hell AC/DC took him out on tour. That was ridiculous. Yeah, let's take the out-of-control fat guy with us. Yeah, we're going to have to pack oxygen along the way because he is such a hard rocker, he can't even breathe on his own. How's that for a singer to be wearing a cannoli or whatever that thing is? Canola? What is that? Someone pronounce it for me. It delivers oxygen straight to your nasal holes. You usually find them in nursing homes and hospice care centers. But homeboy had to take one on the road with him because he's such a basket case. Yeah, that's not the talent we're looking for. We're looking for some real talent that if we could open up the real, we could really have a normal relationship with our southern neighbors like we have with our European neighbors and British, right? Because we can fly back and forth to Britain and exchange cultures and have tea and coffee and lagers and ales and pints and pubs and fish and chips and all that. But apparently heading down to Mexico or South America proper, anywhere in there, we must be headed for the cocaine. We must be headed for the war, the drugs, the promiscuous sex, and God knows what else. We have painted a really horrible picture of all these places and called them third world hellholes. When the reality is, you know, it's not that our own country is immune from some of the same problems, but we certainly have not offered the hellacious olive branch we have to our Russian counterparts over the past 30 years. How did that go? Well, I have a feeling that South America would be far more, what's the word I'm looking for, amicable to, you know, something of a growing up period. We had ours during World War II. These folks really haven't had that type of defining moment as the Ukraine is experiencing right now. If no one believed Ukraine was a country before, there is no doubt about it now. I don't want to see that happen in South America because that's awful damn close here. Sidebar, Putin in one of his recent speeches talking about NATO putting nuclear weapons on the front porch of his house seems to forget when a bunch of nuclear missiles was put on our porch, when a bunch of missiles were shipped and whatever in Cuba. Right? So, yeah, this game has been going on for decades and decades, and this is why people should not be in any office for decades and decades and decades. Because, as we discovered just from Nancy Pelosi's example, it becomes a financial thing. Do you really think she cares about anything other than the $115 million? Y'all work that out among yourselves. I'll be right back. I'm going to go look up something that's not as angry and depressing and whatever else. Yeah, so according to the screen, we'll be right back. I just can't seem to hit that damn button. But I'll hit this one.
Keeping Wilmington informed. The Big Talker 106.7 FM WFBT, Carolina Beach.
Folks, you know you're all looking for that special gift. Lines are long, traffic is frustrating, supply chains in the news. Just take a deep breath. If you're anywhere near Oak Island, come by Seaside Jewelers, 8801 East Oak Island Drive. Avoid the traffic, the lines, the frustration, and get that extraordinary and special gift. From high-end diamond rings to Larimar, from necklaces to bracelets, watches, and unique jewelry. And you also get one-on-one service with their experienced staff. Great prices now, just in time for the holidays. Come by and check out Seaside Jewelers, 8801 East Oak Island Drive.
Melissa from Michigan. I work an extra part-time job serving lunch at my child's school, but I still can't afford to put food on our table.
Daniel from California. Choosing whether to pay the rent or pay to fix the car to get to work doesn't leave us with much at all. Now we can't even pay for meals.
Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Hello, I'm Matt Bennett with WWAY News. American flags have been placed on graves in the Wilmington National Cemetery on Market Street ahead of Memorial Day. More than 5,000 flags are flying on graves at the cemetery. Many people across the Cape Fear and the country plan to observe Memorial Day by visiting graves of members of armed forces who died while serving. A Memorial Day ceremony will be held at 11 a.m. in the cemetery today, hosted by the New Hanover County Veterans Council. A man was retrieved from the ocean on Saturday afternoon near Southwest 23rd Street in Oak Island. Around 2 p.m., several agencies, including Water Rescue, Fire, and EMS, responded to a 911 call reporting a person seen struggling in the water. Oak Island Water Rescue Chief Peter Grenzy says bystanders were performing CPR on the male victim when they arrived. That man died on the scene. Authorities say he was from West Virginia and was visiting the area. At this time, his official cause of death has not been released. There is an autopsy underway. Hundreds of people attended the 26th annual Orange Street Arts Fest on Saturday as the two-day event came to a close. This is the first time since 2019 that the Orange Street Arts Fest was held on Memorial Day weekend due to the pandemic. The street fair was held on Orange Street between Front and 2nd Streets, Orange to Dock Streets, and inside the Hannah Block Historic USO Community Arts Center. It is one of the largest arts festivals in downtown Wilmington. It featured more than 80 artists' paintings, pottery, jewelry, and metal arts. And a concert raising money for those displaced by an ongoing mold crisis with the Wilmington Housing Authority was hosted by the Northside Food Co-op on Saturday at Palette Bottle Shop and Garden. The Bring the House Up Relief Concert featured 6 different bands with all donations going to the New Hanover Disaster Coalition. In addition to the concert, the Palette Bottle Shop and Garden has also been raising funds all month for the cause by giving 10% of their monthly proceeds. For more on these stories, you can head to wwaytv3.com. I'm Matt Bennett. Have a great day.
Happy Monday, everybody. I'm WWAY meteorologist Ramel Carpenter with your Storm Track 3 forecast. Get ready for a fairly nice Memorial Day here in the Cape Fear. Certainly going to be hot and a bit on the humid side as our high temperatures climb into the low 90s away from the coast. Low to middle 80s will do it along the immediate coastline with a low-end risk for rip currents. Excellent beach weather on this Monday. Heading into the overnight hours tonight, we are expecting mostly clear skies. Temperatures will be mild in the middle and upper 60s, and it certainly will be a touch on the muggy side as well. Get your full forecast on WWAY and WWAYtv3.com.
This news and weather is brought to you by 2 Men and a Truck. For your free quote, go to 2menandatruck.com. 2menandatruck.com.
Enjoying Big Talker Network is as easy as asking for it. Program your digital home assistants such as Google Home, Alexa, and Siri to stream Big Talker Network content by simple voice command. Enjoy convenient hands-free access to the program whenever you want, however you want by asking for Big Talker.
Hello and welcome to Consumer Choice Radio. I'm back at the mic, Yael Osowski here, and David Clement is joining me once again here on Saga 960 AM and the Big Talker Network. David is back. He's a little tan, a little rested, and wearing his baseball cap. David, how goes it?
It's going well. It's going well. How are things with you? You're getting all ready for a big trip. You're flying across the ocean to the New World.
Wait a minute. I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet. Nope, wrong one. That's that one I wanted. There we go. Yeah, we're not done yet here. I don't know. Sorry about that, Yael. We'll come back to you in a minute. I don't know what happened, but we got a little ahead of ourselves. I got one more story before I end out the show coming from our friend, the guy I've never met before, Barney Quick. He's writing in the Ordinary Times an article I thought was something worth sharing with you. The title is Thoughts on Wisdom. Let's go there. Let's face it, as he writes, wrong mouse because I can't scroll without the mouse. Here we go. Let's face it, vitality and a robust engagement of life are concentrated on the front end of a human existence. Sure, there are octogenarian, or in our case, centenarian, plane jumpers and marathon runners, but they're not the statistical norm. Later periods of life are generally marked by relative ease, less challenges, and less strife. On the other hand, it's easier to get oneself in trouble when young. Most people make fewer egregious mistakes as they get older. Experience shows us how to tend to our self-preservation more mindfully, and, at least I'd like to think, most of us refine our moral compasses. If it gets easier to get along with people later in life unless one is determined to hold on to chronic crankiness due to being so heavily invested in projecting that identity. As a sound man, I can relate to that. We tend to avoid saying that which will cause turmoil. We cut fewer moral corners. We get more comfortable with the vulnerability and cultivate more tenderness in our relationships. In a word, we gain wisdom. It makes the rough spots more bearable and deepens our insights into what this thing called life means. It's a fine thing, but it's not laid in our laps. Without encountering some of those pesky hard knocks, we don't acquire all the wisdom we could. There's no way of telling the young person who has just made a dumb move and realized it that will serve him or her well in important ways in the long run. One ought to have certain memories that, when they resurface, sting to contemplate. We never forget the damage attendant We never forget the damage attendant to the mistakes, but we start to realize that every fallen human being, which would be every human being, has inflicted damage on this world. To earn wisdom, you have to have an acquaintance with foolishness. You have to have harbored some regret, some embarrassment, some envy, lust, and rage. You have to fully take in that at certain points in your life you've been downright unappealing. At a certain phase in the acquisition of wisdom, we begin to hope that someone somewhere will cut us some slack, and then we see that those around us feel the same way, and that maybe in some way we ought to get that. Maybe deserve is too strong a term, but most of us develop a sense that there's no connection among us if held grudges are the norm. We like to be around people with a high degree of wisdom. We feel safe around them. We admire them. They come across like they've won a great prize. Wisdom manifests itself in such conduct as tact, discernment, the willingness to extend grace, striving for fairness, keeping an eye on one's long-term best interest, and no longer looking for absolutes anywhere other than divine truth. Wisdom is probably the closest to total contentment we can achieve in this lifetime. It points the way to a state of being in which everything really and truly will be all right. It's like a precious metal refined by fire. Its momentum gathers when one lays down one's fear of discomfort. It's the kind of strength that doesn't need to show itself off. There's no pretending one has it. The irony is that even if one retains all of one's lifelong foibles, one will acquire some wisdom. The nature of this world is such that it's unavoidable. But a great treasure awaits those who seek to cultivate it. You become more human than you had ever dreamed possible. That's what books are for, too. Right? Because think about it. I do. That I can read a book. And in the book, there's going to be an uh-oh. There's an uh-oh in just about every movie, right? And some of them are so spelled out and so pedantic and predictable and tasteless that I tend to tune away really quick. But in good books, mistakes are made. How the mistakes are handled is a vicarious way of learning how not to do something or how to do something. It opens your perspective. So if you never read a book and follow what Mr. Quick is talking about, right? The wisdom is coming from personal experience with life, right? Because your battle is not with the other people. Your battle is with yourself in life, right? Getting in out of your own way, problem solving is probably the biggest one. Whenever you run into something that disagrees or interferes with your peace, how do you deal with it? Do you take a gun and shoot it and everything else? Well, obviously not. I mean, this 18-year-old person, I will refrain from adjectives at this time. As we discovered, he was 18, obviously not the wisest sage to grace our planet. But the opposite is true. I think Mr. Quick has a very good line going here, but there's a potential for going a little sideways. Like Henry Kissinger, during my memory of him being in office or cabinet or whatever the hell he was doing, he seemed to be a pretty smart guy. He seemed to have a pretty level head. Now he's gone completely fucking senile, it seems. Just not the same type of suggestions I would have expected from that man, really. But I think that a lot of the, you have to have harbored some regret, some embarrassment, some envy, lust, and rage. You have to fully take in that at certain points in your life, you've been downright unappealing. You can gain that vicariously. You can gain that just by walking down the street and saying, oh, look, here's a guy with pink hair, a wedding dress, and combat boots, and people are laughing at him. If I don't want to get laughed at, then I'm probably going to skip the dress. I might go with the pink hair and the combat boots, but I'll probably wear a Spinal Tap t-shirt. Or a Villanova t-shirt, I don't know, or maybe one of my favorite, Joe King Carrasco. Just got my shirt in the mail, very excited about that. The man is still doing shows 40 years later. Yes, the first show I saw of his was actually 39 years ago this fall, when the Popular Entertainment Committee of the University of New Mexico brought Joe King Carrasco to the Student Union building, and I had never had so much fun, and at that point I decided I'm not doing opera no more. This is a heck of a lot more fun. The downside is, at the operas, everybody gets a seat. Everybody gets to sit down in a nice cushy chair and enjoy the performance. This was an absolute free-for-all. It was madness, and the most fun I've ever had, and been addicted ever since. All the way down to doing a show, 2 weeks ago on a Sunday, which was weird, with Villanova at 7 Mile Outpost, or 7 Mile Post, or whatever. They did a great job upgrading and upfitting that pavilion, or whatever that thing is, yurt, or whatever it is. Great time to be had by all. So yes, your life can be influenced by a single event. And that gives you wisdom, I guess. We will discuss more of that. Tomorrow, right here on the Big Talker. Please visit our website, bigtalker.live. Download the app for Android and iOS devices. And, tune in tomorrow. I'm sure we'll have more friends and fans of the show pitching in, chipping in, calling in. So until then, ladies and gentlemen, TK from the Asylum, your refuge in a world gone mad. Good luck, everybody.
Keeping Wilmington informed. The Big Talker, 106.7 FM, WFBT, Carolina Beach.
Hello, I'm Matt Bennett with WWAY News. American flags have been placed on graves in the Wilmington National Cemetery on Market Street ahead of Memorial Day. More than 5,000 flags